The Cold War is usually viewed as two united sides clashing over ideology in the future, but, as many of you probably guessed, that wasn't always true. Both sides had their own rebellious factions. For the West, that was France. Their decision to pull out of NATO in 1966, right in the middle of the Cold War, is often brought up as an example of this. It seems like a pretty bad move at the time, which makes you wonder, why did France actually withdraw from NATO? Just to be clear, despite what's often said, France didn't completely leave NATO. They just pulled out of its unified command structure. They were still fully committed to defending other NATO members if war broke out. The command structure they left was designed to lead and coordinate NATO SS various militaries during a war. At the top was the Supreme Allied Commander, who could be from any NATO country, as long as that country started with U and ended. In the United States, the second-in-command was the Deputy Allied Commander, who could technically be from any NATO country, but in practice, it was always a Brit. This annoyed French President Charles de Gaulle, who thought it would be nice if a Frenchman could hold the position at least once. So, in 1966, he pulled French forces out of NATO's unified command. This wasn't just about pride. De Gaulle wanted to make sure France stayed strategically independent, and many in the military agreed with him. France was worried it'd end up depending on NATO for planning military operations, which would mean losing control over its growing nuclear weapons. So they refused to work together with Britain and the US on nuclear strategy. When it came to regular forces, French leaders wanted their army to be completely independent, making its own decisions on tactics, equipment, and policy. They were also uneasy about putting French soldiers under the command of non-French officers and how that might play out. This worry wasn't really new either. It sees why the French had pulled their navy out of NATO as unified command back in the previous decade. It all came to a head in a little diplomatic spat with the US when France left NATO, SE command structure, and also kicked all foreign troops out of the country. President Johnson saw it coming, and when de Gaulle made the request for all American troops to leave France, his government replied, "Does that include the ones in the cemeteries too?" Also, France banned American nuclear weapons from being kept on its soil. These changes were super popular with the French people, which is why no French leader messed with the setup for the rest of the century. This wasn't France's first step toward leaving NATO completely. In fact, de Gaulle had secretly agreed with the US that France would rejoin NATO's unified command if the Soviets ever invaded. And while a lot of NATO members were completely outraged by France's move, the American response was more of a resigned disagreement. In their view, NATO didn't need France to survive, and the Johnson administration was pretty sure it would only take 5 or 10 years before France came back, though it ended up being a bit longer. Hope you enjoyed this episode, and thanks for watching. Big shout out to my patrons, James Bissonette, Kelly Moneymaker, Rob Waterhouse, Mo Marvin Cassell, Aaron the White, and Jordan. Long lay James Castaneda, Gustav Swan, Jerry Lambden, Maggie Patskowski, Coppertone, Rashid Ali, Winston K. Wood, Mrs. It, Spinning 3 Plates, Lexi Schwinn, Matthew Shipley, Anthony Beckett, Robert Wetzel, Marcus Arsenault, Corso Wolf, Spencer Lightfoot, and Charles I.